A very warm welcome to, and thank you for joining. Last time we had seen that war having become a certainty, uh, both the sides were trying to get their allies together and get as many allies as possible. Kunti had gone rushing to Karn, as we had seen, but Karn declined to join them on a matter of principle or whatever he felt that the right thing to do at that juncture was only to side with uh, Duryodhana. There were others also. There was one king, Shalya of Madra, and happened to be, he was in fact, not happened to be, he was in fact the maternal uncle of the two Pandav younger brother. That means Nakul and Sahadev, through their mother, Madri. Madri and Shalya, they were brothers and sisters. And Shalya therefore decided that he's going to help and he's going to join up with Yudhishthir and set out from his capital, Mathura, to Matsyanagar, which was quite some distance away. Since it was a long distance away and he had to go along with the whole army, he started early. Now, Shakuni, the smart fellow that he was, immediately realized that it is better to get as many people as possible by hook or by crook. So what he did was, sorry, sorry. So what he did was all along the way, he arranged uh, for lodging and food for the entire army. And he took good care of the king of Mother, that is Shalya. When they were approaching Matsinagar, where these Pandavas were as all gathered, there, then Shakuni came out and introduced himself and said that he is sorry that if he has been able to, he tried his level best to make sure that all amenities were provided, all comforts were provided. And if there's something which has been left unprovided for or undone, then he is extremely sorry for it. Of course, at this time, even Duryodhana joined up. Then Shalya was a little astonished. He thought that all this arrangement had been done by his nephews, that is Nakul and Sahadev. But to him it appeared that all this had been done by Duryodhana. So how to repay him? Because he was indebted to him for the comfort that was provided to him. So he said, okay, now that you have done all this for me, ask for a boon. Immediately Duryodhana took his chance and said, oh, great king, what boon can I ask from you at this juncture, other than you spite from my side? Now, Shalya, having committed himself, had no option but to agree. Immediately, while this was going on, Karn, who also happened to be there, he said, "You are the best uh, mm, charioteer. Apart from being a great warrior with the mace, you are the best charioteer too. And as such, I'll be honored if you can take the reins of the horses of my chariot and become my charioteer." Well, Shalya, being obliged to this Duryodhana and having offered him the boon, he had no option but to agree. Now, this is a little needs a little understanding. This mother Shalya is actually deceit. We have got demonic traits within us, and one of the demonic traits is deceit. Now, if you notice, sometimes for no rhyme or reason, where we are not required to uh, tell a lie, sometimes we tell a lie, and then you start wondering why did you tell a lie? Or sometimes we'll hide things. Suppose we've gone to the refrigerator and taken out some grape or fruit or something or a nut or something and eaten it, or even a chocolate or cake or something. Somebody asks, "Oh, you are eating. What are you eating?" You say, "No, no, I'm not eating something." Now, there's no need or no justification for lying at that place or hiding whatever you have been doing. But we do that. That is because of the three gunas, our traits, the three quality traits which we have got सत्व रजो सत्ता, इन दोनों के कॉम्बिनेशन के वजह तीनों के कॉम्बिनेशन की वजह से ये हमारे जो नेचर बनता है, the way we respond. Now sometimes it's all so spontaneous that before we think about it, it's already out. So, and in very, not very frequently, but it does happen quite often that we will tell a lie or we'll tell a, I'm not talking about a deliberate lie. A deliberate lie is a different issue, but an unintended, uh, undeliberated lie sometimes escapes our lips, or we try to hide something. Now, this is the result of that deception which is there within us. This deception shuru hota hai, and if it keeps on repeating, we don't check it, it develops into a habit. Once it develops into a habit, then for no rhyme or reason, you will not try to give the straight answer, not and always invariably you will give a what shall I say, a false answer. Then it becomes a habit. That habit becomes a character, and eventually people will come to know that this fellow is a liar. He keeps on cheating or he keeps on deceiving. So they may, although they may take be cautious, but our man, whoever he is, if we don't check this, then not only does it become a habit, apart from deceiving others, we start deceiving ourselves. And once we deceive ourselves, the time will come, as we shall see later on in this thing. Shalya, I mean, when he takes over the reins of Karn's chariot, usme how he deceives not only others, eventually the person will start deceiving himself. So we have to be very careful of this trait of a quality traits of ours or guna which is there within us of deception. Continuing the story, then after Shalya had been taken care of and weaned off, Shalya ke saath, apart from this thing, uh, he being a very good charioteer, he was very good with the mace also. Mace is a weapon of the head, and both Duryodhana and Shalya, Duryodhana being himself a very proficient and perhaps the best fighter with the mace, he knew and appreciated what advantage he would get from having Shalya on his side. So this was although a plan, this was a plan executed by uh, his uncle Shakuni, and it worked very well. So Shalya had joined him. Now, continuing with the story, there are others also who had to be wooed over to one side or the other. Among them was Krishna. Krishna, most of you know that he was married to Arjun was married to Krishna's sister, Subhadra. But a lot of you may or may not know, uh, Duryodhana was also uh, Krishna's, what they call Samdhi. And Krishna's son was married to Duryodhana's daughter. So both of them had a claim over Krishna. And they both went over to Krishna's place to ask for assistance. Now, when Duryodhana went there, he found that Krishna was sleeping. So he took a chair and sat down by his side, by his head side, beside his head on a separate chair. Shortly thereafter, before Krishna woke up, Arjun walked in. He saw Duryodhana sitting by his head. So he took another chair and sat down by his feet. A little while later, Krishna woke. Seeing Arjun, he said, Arjun, what brings you here? Moment before then Arjun said, oh, I've come seeking your assistance. And before he could complete and Krishna could respond, Duryodhana butted in and said that I'm also here. I've come before Arjun, and I've also come to seek your assistance. Then Krishna replied that okay, since both of you want my assistance, what I have an army, a very proficient army, an army which has not yet been defeated. It's called the Narayana army. This Narayana army, I will not be able to divide in two. So what I shall do is I'll give the entire Narayana army to one person, and to the other, I will offer my services, but it will. I will not take any active part in the fight which is going on between the two of you. So you can choose there. But Krishna said that since I saw Arjun first, Arjun will have the option of selecting either of the two, either me or my army. Arjun said, Keshav, I select you. I opt for you. I select you. And Duryodhana was very happy. Duryodhana, in fact, wanted only the Narayan army, which was undefeated and which was very powerful. So he thanked Arjun, he thanked Krishna, since he had been promised that he'll get the Narayan, Krishna's Narayan army. And after thanking him, he came back. Now here it's quite curious why Arjun should ask for Krishna alone, even though he said that I will not help you, I will not take any active part in the war. And whereas Duryodhana, he wanted the entire army. Now, another thing which is interesting here is Duryodhana, sorry, Arjun did not know at that juncture that Krishna was the Lord Almighty. He didn't know that. But Duryodhana certainly knew that because Krishna had revealed himself uh, at Hastinapur, where not only he was present there, his father Dhritarashtra was present there, Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, Karn, and all the other Kaurav allies were there. And before them, Krishna had revealed himself and shown that he is the Lord and Master, he is the Lord of the entire universe. But as as invariably, see, our minds are so small that we are unable to grasp the enormity of what this power is, this power which we call God. Oh, how powerful Brahman or whatever name Ishvara or Purusha, whatever you call him, or, Allah or whatever name you give him. Now, this power is so vast, so majestic, and so indeed powerful that our minds cannot grasp it. So, and we still think that it is limited. So Duryodhana, although he had come to know that Krishna was the Lord incarnate, yet nevertheless he wanted only the army. Arjun, on the other hand, did not know that Krishna at that juncture. Arjun did not know that Krishna was the Lord incarnate. He knew that Krishna was something more than what he appears to be, but he also, and that's why whenever they were in trouble or whenever they wanted advice, Krishna would come forward sometime on his own, or at other times, these Pandava brothers would consult him. But they always knew or always felt that Krishna was something more than what he appears to be. And he is, in fact, anyway, very pragmatic. And whenever they've taken his advice, there's never been wrong and they have been successful. So uh, Arjun, when he was asked that you have to choose first, Arjun said, I seek you. Now he said, I seek you, or I would want you to be with me, even though you'll not take any active part. You can be my charioteer. And that alone should be enough. Because charioteer plays a very big role in in a chariot war. The reason why Arjun did not ask for Narayan army was simple. Arjun had all the weapons. He was the best archer in the whole world, and he knew that the army he can take off. He'll be able to take care of. However, if there's somebody who is watching where his attention was, or watching his flaws and shortcomings, and is able to guide him, then that is best for it. So it was on that basis, Arjun tells him that I would want you to be on my side. Not because he was God. Had he known that he is God, then certainly he would have surrendered there and there, as we shall see later on. Once he comes to know, then he surrenders. But before that, he just wanted somebody who will be watching and concentrating upon how he is doing and bringing out his shortcomings or whatever else needs to be done. So that was the Krishna. Uh, this Krishna के साथ now you see इसमें एक चीज और है. The seat which they had occupied, one was Arjun who sat by his feet, and the other was Duryodhana who sat by his head. It is said that of the Guru or the Lord and or the Avatar, that all powers of the Guru or the Avatar of the Lord are available to us through his feet. His, although his form may appear to be human, he is in fact non-human, and his head, really speaking, is very, very high, way above the clouds, whereas his feet he has planted on the earth out of compassion for us, so that he is accessible to us. So when Arjun goes and sits by his feet, immediately he could uh, get whatever he wanted. Uh, Getting whatever he wanted. The feet of the Lord or feet of the Avatar or Guru is like home. When you go home, then you don't want anything else. You want your parents, your mother and father. Other things are, irrelevant. They may be, if they are there, fine. If they're not there, it's all right. So Arjun had chosen his parents. Now, parents, the Lord Himself, जब आपने select कर लिया है, so everything that belongs to the Lord is yours now. So, and then of course, as far as the Lord is concerned, his his wealth is not the material wealth. His wealth is love. So all the love that was there, and love is the one that can conquer everything and anything. But this thing was not appreciated by Duryodhana. And at that juncture, even Arjun was not really aware of this, had not appreciated it. Nevertheless, when he asked that, Krishna's entire power was through, or his wealth was love, which is at the disposal of Arjun. So that was a big uh, boon which he had got, which Duryodhana missed out because his mind could not grasp what an avatar is. In fact, even today, we have the same situation with our Sai Baba Sat. He is a Purna avatar, but this Purna avatar, people who are very, very close to him are also not able to recognize, are not able to appreciate because infinity jo hai, is far beyond our imagination. If somebody tells us the size of the universe is 10 to the power 64 meters, it will make nothing to us. It is so large, so large, so large that is incomprehensible. The same thing happens here also. Krishna ke जब demand कर रहे थे when they were selecting, Duryodhana just could not understand and appreciate what it is to have the Lord on his side. So he merely was happy with getting the Narayani army. After this, since the preparations were going on, Duryodhana went to his mother and said, Mother, he told his mother Gandhari, I have come seeking a blessing. So Gandhari immediately said, Long may you live, my son. He said, No, no, this is not the blessing I seek. I seek your blessing for victory. And Gandhari said, Victory always favors the just. But anyway, when she said that, then her mother's instinct took over. And then she said, Nevertheless, what I can do is I can give you all the power that I've gathered on account of my penance. I've kept my eyes blindfolded. So all the power that I've gained, I shall transfer it to you. For that, you have to come tomorrow after taking a dip in the river Ganges. Come without your clothes on. When you go to the river Ganges and you remove your clothes, all your clothes, get yourself, take an entire dip into the river Ganges, right up to the head. And after that, say your prayer. And then after your prayer, come back in your naked condition. Don't put on clothes or something. So Duryodhana went there and when he did as his mother had told, it removed all his clothes, went into the river Ganges, and he came out after taking a dip head bath, what's there right up to the head. And after saying his prayers, he started walking uh, towards Gandhari's palace. On the way, Krishna met him. He said, What is this strange behavior going about naked in the middle of the road? Then Duryodhana told Krishna that, Look, you see, this is what has happened. My mother has asked me to come there. in this condition. He said, see, for a mother, a son is always a child. He will always remain a child. But you are no longer a child. You're a 10-year-old or less. You're a grown-up, full grown-up man. And it does not behove uh, man, a full grown-up man, to appear before his mother in this nude condition, even though even though that lady is her mother. So Duryodhan took some banana leaves and tied it round his waist, and in that condition uh, he went to Gandhari. Now, इसमें mother Gandhari, although it may appear that she wanted to favor Duryodhan, it's not entirely favor Duryodhan. A mother is a Gandhari represents the universal mother. The universal mother जो है is never cross against anybody. She is never, so she always tries to transform the individual, whoever that individual is, from whatever condition she finds him. Had she started 10 years earlier, 20 years earlier, then also she would have tried to transform him. But even at this late stage, she says, okay, let us start all over again for transformation. And that's what was meant by, she said, you come over with me, with the power of my parents, I'll uh, protect you. So actually, it was protect you from harm. That means he is going to be transformed into a better person. But Gandhari, when she opened her eyes finally, she removed the bandage and opened her eyes after saying a prayer. Then the fiery gaze that emerged out of her sight was so powerful that it toughened all his exposed body. All the body that was exposed had become toughened. When the fiery gaze cooled, and then she saw that Duryodhana was standing there with the banana leaves round his waist and said, what have you done? I told you specifically to come uh, in the nude condition without anything on. Why did you do that? The portion which has remained uncovered the portion that has been covered will not be toughened. The Duryodhana just dismissed it. He said, Mother, don't worry. I fight with the mace. And all I need is to toughen the upper part of my body. Now, the portion from the waist downward to the thigh, that is represents the portion of the genitals. That is the reproductory portion. And this is how the Duryodhan or the vices multiply. So in fact, that was the portion that was not allowed to multiply because Krishna could not leave that portion that if it had been toughened, it would be impossible to destroy it. So some chink in Duryodhana's armor had been left. But that chink was, as far as metaphors are concerned, was that uh, your, what do you say, you multiply that factor was removed or that chink was there, it could be destroyed, it could be curtailed. That was the, mm, or shall I say, Krishna had ensured that Duryodhana will not be able to, that Duryodhana means his material wealth will not become so powerful, it will not keep on multiplying to such an extent that he'll take over everything. So that little weakness was left there. And it is through that only that eventually we'll see Bhim. He knocks him out and it destroys breaks his uh, pelvic bone, his thighs, and it kills him. When Krishna said, it's time for you also to go and seek the blessings of Devi and ask her for prasad. And Arjun said, you want me to go to Kailash at this point in time? It's so far away, it will take me long. And by the time I come back, the war may already be over. No, I don't want you to go anywhere. You can You don't even, in fact, you can go to the temple, or you need not even go to the temple. Just find any clean, good place, ideally a pavitra place, an auspicious or sanctified place, where you can sit and meditate, and meditate on the Devi, so that when she appears before you, ask her for prasad. So Arjun looked around and he found a place. He found a sage's hut there, and he went to the sage and requested that he be allowed to meditate in his hut. The sage was only too happy. He said, "Yes, yes, please do come over. I'm only too happy," and gave him his deerskin rug. Now, इसमें, you know, very soon, when after he started meditating, the Devi appeared before uh, before these two. The sage was there, and and Arjun, who was meditating. Now, इसमें there's one concept about asking. When you meditate and ask for something from Devi when she comes. Krishna had told Arjun that you ask for prasad. Now, why do you ask? Now, when the question of asking is there, asking means there's somebody else there. Now, when somebody else is there who's going to give you, then there's always that fear that whether the other person will give or not give, or what is what if he does not give, then what will happen? Or and the other person will certainly evaluate whether this person is able to will be able to repay me whatever I give him. If he is not able to repay me, if he has got, then there's no point in giving to him. Then he is only a beggar. On the other hand, if he has the ability to repay back the loan which he is taking, or which is asking, then it becomes a kind of business proposition. How much to give, when to give, under what terms to give. So that is also, this is how it is when this kind of dealing happens when it is on the material plane between people. But when it comes to God, asking God for anything is not this way. Because whatever you get eventually, you get only from the Lord. Whatever you get is only from the Lord. Number two, if you have to ask, whom do you ask? You ask your father, your mother, or those who are very close to you. When you ask from your parents, it's not asking really, because whatever belongs to your parents, it belongs to you. And in the same manner, whatever belongs to God belongs to you really by right, not by any other. But you should be able to feel that. If you don't feel that, if you feel that it's not my right, it is uh, uh, God is somebody else, then there's a problem. So asking God, when you pray and you ask something, it is a very important step in uh, spirituality, wherein you break this inhibition. That inhibition is negativeness. And when you break that negativeness, you become one with God. Then whatever God has got, all his powers, all his weapons, all his love, everything about him is yours anyway by right. So you don't even have to ask him. It comes to you automatically. But for that, you have to be in that state of mind. You have to be able to appreciate that yes, I'm God. I'm no different from God, and He's my God in that sense. So Arjun, when was meditating, this was the thought that Krishna had told him. Now, when the Devi materialized, she looked at the sage first. Arjun had been praying, but when Devi arrived there, she saw the sage there, and she saw Arjun there. So she first turned to the sage and said, "I'm very pleased by your devotion. Ask for boon." And the sage, he just brought his palms together like this and said, "Devi, you have already given me everything. You have not left anything to give. What can I ask you? What more can I ask you?" Then the Devi replied, "Ask nevertheless." So this sage, he looked around. He didn't have any possession, but he had a piece of cloth which he was mending. That was the only thing that so-called belonged to him, and that was a torn piece of cloth. There was some. and he had a needle and a thread, which he was mending that cloth. So he said, Devi, since you asked me for, since you have commanded that I ask you for a boon, I pray that please ensure that the needle, that the thread which is there in the needle does not uh, come out of the needle, so that I'm able to mend my this piece of cloth which I'm mending successfully. So the Devi looked at him and gave him a very benign smile, and then blessed him, said, "So be it." Now this is a, it's a metaphor. This blessing is, it is not that the sage did not know what to ask. He certainly knew what to ask. But what is this metaphor? Metaphor is that the needle is God. The thread is the human being or the sage, and the eye of the needle is uh, is faith and devotion. The cloth was the life which we are living here, and mending means to be able to successfully negotiate that life. Now, if the thread remains attached to the needle, which means if the thread is always attached to the Lord, needle is the Lord, and thread is that person or the sage. If it's already attached to the Lord, it remains completely always attached to the Lord, and that eye of the needle is faith, because through the faith, then whatever effort, whatever he's trying to mend, his life is he is trying to live, that will be that will mend it successfully, or he will be able to live his life successfully and well. That was the boon he had asked. And of course, Devi understood whatever he was asking. And so she smiled and raised his hand in benediction and said, "Yes, so be it." Then she turned to Arjun and said, "Arjun, now you ask whatever you would like to, whatever boon you want." Arjun just said, "Oh, Devi, unlike the sage here, I am going to war. What can I ask you other than to be by my side?" And this was very tricky. So the Devi looked at him mysteriously, smiled again, but instead of saying, "So be it," she said, "I am where Krishna is." And with that, she left. Now, again, here, what does this mean? That Krishna had told him to ask for prasad. He didn't ask for prasad. What is prasad? Prasad has got three roots. Prasada. Pra is for so it primarily means, prasad primarily means ask for the boon of uh, a vision of the Lord, ask for the truth. But he forgot to ask for truth, and he said, "You be by my side." He was going for a war. Devi said that I am where Krishna is. Now, if Devi had agreed, had said that uh, I'll be by your side, or if Devi had said, "Okay, so be it," then if Arjun were to jump into the well, Devi also would have to jump into the well. So such a thing could not be accepted. So what David said was, "I am where Krishna is." Now Devi knew that Krishna is all the time with Arjun, and he will ensure that this kind of rubbish, this kind of foolishness is not done. He is always on the right side or on the right path. And if he is on the right path, then the Devi will always be there with him also. So the boon which Devi had given Arjun was that you be that I'll be with Krishna. I am where Krishna is. Means that that she will always be with Arjun also, because Krishna will always be with Arjun. So both the places, Devi to the saint as well as to Arjun, she had committed herself.